Ever wondered what's the difference between apple juice and apple cider? Well, you're not alone. Both are beloved fruit beverages, born from the same source, our humble apple. Yet they are not identical twins in the world of apple drinks. Each carries its unique process and taste, making them distinctly different in their own right. Intriguing, isn't it? So, if you're curious to delve deeper into the secrets of these two delicious apple beverages, stay with us. You're in for a juicy ride. What comes to your mind when you hear about apple cider? Perhaps you're picturing a crisp autumn day, the scent of fresh apples in the air, and a glass of this cloudy golden beverage warming your hands. Apple cider is raw, unfiltered juice, a celebration of apples in their most authentic form. Imagine a bushel of fresh, ripe apples just waiting to be transformed. These apples are first ground down, their firm flesh yielding to an applesauce-like consistency. But we're not making applesauce here, no, this is just the first step in our cider journey. This pulpy mixture is then wrapped in cloth, creating a sort of rustic apple parcel. The next step is a bit like a giant hug for the apples, as a machine squeezes the layers, coaxing the juice out and straining it directly into cold tanks. This process retains the pulp and sediment of the apples, elements that are typically removed when making apple juice. This gives apple cider its characteristic cloudiness and robust flavor, a far cry from the clear, often overly sweet apple juice many of us grew up with. The juice that's now in the cold tanks is apple cider in all its unfiltered glory. It's a drink that carries the essence of the orchard, the crisp tartness of the apples, and the earthy hint of the leaves and bark. That's how traditional apple cider is made, retaining the strong flavor of fresh apples. Now let's talk about apple juice. This delightful beverage starts its journey much like apple cider with the crushing and pulping of fresh juicy apples. However, the process doesn't stop there. Apple juice takes a few extra steps, ensuring a clear, sweet, and long-lasting drink. Once the apples are crushed into a pulpy consistency, similar to applesauce, the mixture is filtered to remove any remaining solids. This step gives apple juice its distinctive clear appearance, unlike the cloudy look of apple cider. But the process doesn't end there. The liquid then undergoes pasteurization, a heat treatment that kills any potential harmful bacteria. This not only ensures the safety of the juice, but also extends its shelf life significantly. You can store apple juice in your pantry for months without it turning bad, a feature that apple cider with its raw and unfiltered nature can't match. Also, apple juice often leans towards the sweeter side, sometimes even having added sugars. This sweetness, combined with the removal of solids, can sometimes result in a beverage that lacks the robust, full-bodied flavor of apple cider. And when it comes to color, apple juice is typically lighter. The removal of sediment, which gives apple cider its cloudy appearance, results in a juice that's more golden and transparent. So that's why apple juice is often clearer and has a longer shelf life than apple cider. So what sets apple cider and apple juice apart? Well, the differences are much more than just a name swap. They lie in the process of their making, their appearance, and their taste, and even their shelf life. Apple cider is essentially raw, unfiltered apple juice. The pulp and sediment are left intact, lending it a robust and hearty flavor. The process to make cider involves grinding apples into a mushy consistency, wrapping them in cloth, and then squeezing out the juice. This creates a drink with a naturally cloudy appearance due to the remaining sediment. It's typically less sweet and has a shorter shelf life, needing to be refrigerated to avoid fermentation. Apple juice, in contrast, goes through a more intensive process. Solids are removed and the juice is pasteurized. This not only extends its shelf life, but also makes it sweeter. Often, it may even have added sugar. The removal of pulp and sediment gives apple juice a lighter color, and its flavor is milder compared to its cider counterpart. Now here's where the waters get a bit muddy. The labeling of these two beverages can vary from state to state, and even from brand to brand. Some states allow the terms cider and juice to be used interchangeably, while others insist on a clear distinction. For instance, the company Martinelli's clarifies that their cider and juice are identical, save for the label. The U.S. Apple Association adds another layer to this discussion, stating that apple juice can be made from concentrate, which might explain why water might sometimes be the first ingredient on the label. Cider, on the other hand, is typically the pure stuff, freshly crushed apples with minimal processing. So in summary, while both apple cider and apple juice originate from the same source, Their journey from tree to glass shapes their unique characteristics. Despite their differences, both apple cider and apple juice have their unique charm and deliciousness. So, which one should you buy? Apple cider or apple juice? Well, it's really a matter of personal preference. You see, both apple juice and apple cider originate from the same source, the humble apple. Yet they offer different experiences to your taste buds. Apple cider retains the robust traditional flavor of apples with its unfiltered pulp and sediment, lending a certain rustic charm. It's like sipping on a glass of autumn with all the rich, earthy notes of the season. On the other hand, apple juice is a clear, sweet delight, often lighter in color and flavor. It's more refined, with all the solids removed and often pasteurized for a longer shelf life. It's a classic, comforting beverage that many of us grew up with and still hold dear. If you're following a recipe that specifically calls for apple cider, stick to it. The robust profile of cider could be vital to the dish, and substituting it with the sweeter apple juice could potentially swing the taste too far on the sweet side. But in the end, the choice is yours. Experiment with both and see which one tickles your fancy. Perhaps you'll lean towards the hearty, robust cider, or maybe the sweet, familiar apple juice will be more your thing. Whether you prefer the traditional strong flavor of apple cider or the clear, sweet taste of apple juice, there's no denying that both are refreshing ways to enjoy the goodness of apples.